And we are indeed live, bang on time once again. How are you doing, guys? Welcome back to Coin Bureau Clips. It's good to be back live with you again. Now, as you've probably figured out by now, Jessica isn't with us this week. She is back in the UK, but she will be back. But in the meantime, now I managed to persuade none other than Nick, our CEO, my co-founder of Coin Bureau, to join us on today's live stream. Now, Nick, you did an interview here on Clips a while back, so dedicated viewers will be familiar. But for those who aren't, can you give us like a quick overview of who you are, your CV, what your role is at Coin Bureau?
Yeah, I mean, it's evolved quite a lot, and like I said in that interview, I'm going to wear a number of different hats, but you know, I'm involved a lot in the operations side, from content decisions and content structure to you know, developing the content pipeline. And then also now, over the past few months, let's say 6 months, I've been more intently involved in business development and strategic thinking for the brand, and you know, where we want to be positioned in the next few months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, I did read some of the comments earlier before we were coming on. One of them was like, I see Jessica's got a new haircut, so
Jessica's let us go. Oh, guys, yeah, do keep the comments coming. I should have warned you. Like the live stream viewers can be pretty forthright in the comments sometimes, but they are very good value.
Very
as
helpful
well,
indeed.
so
yeah.
It's always get some amusing
the most
comments.
hardcore fans in the live stream. I love reading those comments.
Exactly. So welcome everyone, and thanks for joining. Let us know, of course, where you're joining from. So far in the comments, we've only got the Black Flaneur, as ever. Welcome back, greeting us from Bath, UK, and someone from Worcestershire as well, and that's about it. So we've got a couple of people joining us from the English countryside, and that's about it. Oh, someone from the USA as well, and yeah, that highly international bunch. Here we go. Okay, that's got people moving. Scotland as well. So we're truly international now. Jacksonville, Florida, Arizona. This is more like it, guys. This is more like it. Is anyone joining from Nick's native South Africa?
South Africa.
There we are. Francois, welcome.
I wonder where in South Africa, Francois.
Yeah. Now this is where it all gets political. You're from whereabouts?
Pretoria originally.
Pretoria. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if you're joining from South Africa, let us know, and whereabouts in South Africa as well. From Holland, we were just in Holland, we were just in the Netherlands. What did you, was that your first time in Amsterdam?
No, I'd been before, you know, only for one evening, mm-hmm. You know, yeah, it was great. The weather could have been a bit better, but you know, I think Holland's a great place. You know, people are very friendly. You know, everyone obviously speaks English, so it's easy enough to get around there. Yeah. And the stereotype of all the bicycles, it's not just a stereotype. Yeah. I almost got knocked over by like 4 of them crossing the road.
I know, it's a dangerous place, Amsterdam. You've really got to watch.
Yeah, those bicycles.
You've kind of got to have like eyes in the back of your head as well. Yeah. And yeah, it's a long time since I'd been to Amsterdam, to the Netherlands. But one thing I'd forgotten was, the Dutch they're generally got a very good sense of humor, and they're also quite direct as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's no kind of BS with the Dutch. Yeah. So I went to on our sort of final night, which was Thursday. I went into central Amsterdam because my mum was in town as well. She was doing a sightseeing tour. So we went across and had dinner in this really nice Dutch restaurant. But the waiters were really funny. They were sort of quite, you know, businesslike, and he'd come up and be like, so have you decided what are you going to eat? And I was like, yeah, I think so. He's like, tell me.
No specials on the menu.
Yeah, there were no specials. You want to sit here, or you can sit there. You know? And his, they were very, and just
business.
like
get down to business.
They just got on with it. They just got on with it. Very businesslike. But so obviously we were at Team Coin Bureau was in Amsterdam last week for the Bitcoin conference. And yeah, as we said, we had a good time. It was great to see Amsterdam again. It was actually quite nice to see a bit of European rain again.
Yeah, it was.
I'd forgotten what it was like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and nice canal tours and stuff. And we were
Yeah.
at the Trezor, the new Trezor device, which is also crazy, you know.
Yeah, that was really cool. So yeah, on the day before the conference, we went and hung out with the guys from Trezor, and they showed us their new device, and that's really cool. And I got to interview the CEO, Matej Jacques, about this new device, and like just kind of we were just sort of chatting with people from Trezor all day, and I got to say, like, really cool company. It's basically just like a collection of sort of Czech nerds,
cypherpunks,
and
exactly,
cypherpunks who are like really, hardcore crypto people.
Big fan of Trezor,
yeah. So that was great to see them. And wow, the people, Dutch people are not direct; they're just honest. That's from MS. Are you saying that us Brits and South Africans aren't? South Africans are direct.
We direct.
Yeah.
I think Brits, you never really know where you stand with them sometimes.
I think you always know where you stand.
It's couched with the sophistication of like, oh, okay, and then it's like you really think someone arsehole.
Wow, damning, absolutely damning. Well, you do know where you are with South Africans, as in the way. So people from Portugal, from Manchester, Bangladesh. Gary Bankman-Fried is back in North Korea for the week. Gary, do let us know how it is. I would say give Mr. Kim our best, but don't really ask him where all the crypto's gone. From Durban.
Ooh, nice. Yeah.
Okay, from Bosnia. From True Blue Australia, mate. Don't worry about it, Thomas. It could be worse. California, England versus South Africa in the rugby soon. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Now I've sort of been actually. I'm going to Mumbai this weekend to watch England versus South Africa in the cricket.
Yeah.
An even more crunch match. But I think England versus South Africa in the rugby there'll probably be a bit more bloodshed.
Yeah. They could have timed it better. I don't know. Commonwealth countries, both cricket and rugby at the same time, the World Cups at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a lot of sport.
Yeah, how are you going to, too much time to split.
Yeah. My sport crazy friends are literally in heaven right now. There's just so much sport for them to watch. So yeah, that should be a pretty blood curdling encounter. I think the South African rugby team are basically sort of notorious for being just animals.
Yeah. We won the last one, right? So
yeah,
you got to maintain that cup.
Yeah, that's how you win. That's how you win rugby. So and a South African in the UK as well. How do you pronounce that name? Tinus
Barnard.
Tinus Barnard.
Yeah. Okay.
South African names are brilliant as well. Anyhow, and Real Raid Boss, a regular, I think, a regular viewer, is from the moon.
Quebec.
And Gerald the Great points out we have a World Series soon. Yes, South Africa in Free State.
Vrystaat, yeah.
Vrystaat. Okay, don't attempt any more South African pronunciation. Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. It's good to be back live. As I say, for those of you who have just joined and wondering what the heck is going on, Nick, my co-founder and the CEO of Coin Bureau, is joining us today because Jessica is away for the week. But never fear, she will be back. And Patch Corn Adams is a regular as well, of course. So what are we going to talk about today, Nick? We've actually got quite a few things lined up to talk today.
It was a crazy news week, yeah.
Yeah. What are we going to? What do you want to start with?
Let's talk about spot Bitcoin ETFs and the failure to launch.
You'll remember this. So this was Monday, wasn't it? This was Monday. This was getting towards the end of the workday here in Dubai. I was kind of wrapping up, getting ready to go, and suddenly everything goes crazy. Look at CoinGecko, and Bitcoin is just going parabolic. What the hell is going on? Well, it turns out that there's a rumor going around that BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF application has been approved, and the source of this rumor appears to have been Cointelegraph, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, it wasn't really a rumor; it was presented as fact, and then obviously everyone picked up on it, and it was shared across most of Twitter or X. Everyone then, quoted, they basically used the other more authoritative source and they thought. And then eventually what's crazy is that it was picked up by apparently a news site called Benzinga, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then the original Cointelegraph tweet. And then Benzinga was picked up on by Reuters. And then Reuters picked it up and sent it to, Bloomberg terminals picked up the Reuters headline.
Right.
So basically... You had the circular thing where people see, oh, it's on, like, this is why we even tweeted about it, because we saw Reuters and Bloomberg, like, I mean, that's got to be legit, right? Like, it's got to be verified and vetted. but it turns out they were all using the Cointelegraph source.
Yeah.
And what's funny is if you go to the post-mortem with Cointelegraph, they basically said that, they were themselves in their discussion that they were saying, but it must be true because Bloomberg's reported on it.
Yeah.
Or Bloomberg's picked it up, but it's basically come from them as the source. So it's kind of like this circular.
Yeah. A circle jerk of absolute nonsense.
But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the markets rallied like mad, and we got this, this little glimmer of hope that
it was nice, wasn't it?
It was a good 10, 15 minutes. No, it was 10 minutes. We just like in this euphoric state, and the markets are back. So that epic meme with the green candles and stuff.
10 minutes. I'm frantically ringing around tattoo parlors trying to see if someone will do waggly.
Lambo dealerships.
Lambo dealerships, the whole lot.
Bringing them up. But it was not to be, unfortunately. I mean, the BlackRock confirmed it. So, they jumped the gun on it. I mean, should everyone else have done more due diligence? Potentially, I mean, everyone's trying to get things out quickly. Yes, I mean, you want to vet these things, but if you have it from reputable sources, you think it's legit. So,
yeah. Well, I think we all learned an important lesson that day. Don't trust, verify, and then keep verify, and then verify several times. But yeah, there is that, you do sort of want to be up to date with the news, but
but it's good. It's what it showed is that there is pent up demand for this, and it showed that when these are approved, which hopefully when not if, there's just going to be a massive demand, massive rally in Bitcoin, right? Yeah. Because this was just speculation, and it led like a 5% in like a 10-minute candle, right? So there's that, and then also the fact that at the same time you had Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, basically talk in his book, obviously saying there's a lot of pent-up demand in a geopolitical sense because of what's going on in the Middle East. There's going to be more demand for Bitcoin. There's going to be more demand for this Bitcoin ETF when it launches. So obviously there is that pent-up demand is still there. So if you look at the ETF timeline, it seems like they mostly coalesce into around a lot of them going to be coming towards approval, most likely in early January. And it's all going to come at once. I mean, like a lot of different ETF providers. There's stuff going on in the background with some ETF providers going back and, looking over their applications, tweaking a few things. So it shows that there's things in the process that's going to be looking towards potentially January. And then if all of them had launched at the same time, then, we're back to the races. Yeah. And it will come quickly. It won't be like a progression. I think the SEC will try and approve them, most of them at the same time.
Yeah, you imagine so. And yeah, I mean, it was an interesting proof of concept, wasn't it? It was sort of like, as you say, there is that demand. So,
well, I mean, the thing about the proof of concept in that case, that demand was people chasing, trying to get ahead of the news, right? That was the immediate reaction from the markets, potential short liquidations, that kind of stuff. But in the case of when these things are approved, the whole in the background, so you've got the initial pump that comes from people's speculation and excitement around it. Then comes the question of the actual demand from the ETFs itself, right? Because there's a process for these ETFs to have to acquire Bitcoin on the spot market. They have to, how ETFs are usually structured is they'll have an authorized provider, like they'll go out, they'll run a prospectus and they'll collect the Bitcoin a certain amount, but they'll have to match demand for the market, right? Because you're going to have retail and in pension funds and all the people who usually buy into ETFs, they'll have to try and match the demand for these, buyers. Then that comes to the question of not just the narrative of ETFs, but what's the underlying investment narrative? Because it's like, okay, the ETFs are here. Now you as a person who otherwise wouldn't have been able to buy Bitcoin, as itself, in spot, you want to hold an ETF. You're then going to have to think to yourself, okay, what's the investment narrative that I, as a pension fund, I, as an individual who want to invest through, IRA or whatnot, and I want to buy a Bitcoin ETF, what's my investment narrative now? Is it, and then that comes back to the question of the safe haven in an uncertain time, all these other reasons you usually buy Bitcoin. So, there'll be a pump, yes, but then what will sustain that pump will depend on the underlying investment narratives and allowing these people to accumulate, these funds and usual ETF buyers to accumulate.
Yeah. So there is demand, as you say, but I think we have to be realistic, don't we? It's like there will be a nice pump. It will be, it will be a good day when those applications get approved. But under current conditions, we do have a long way to go. It's not suddenly going to be open season on crypto, you know, bull market back and in full swing.
Because you need, I mean, you need new buyers, you need new people entering the market, right? And new people who want to buy, who otherwise, you know, for other reasons. It's not like someone's like, oh, now I can finally buy Bitcoin and ETF, I'm going to go and buy. It's like, if you really wanted to get into it, you can get it in the spot market, go and accumulate it, right?
Yeah.
It's a matter of there needs to be another investment narrative. And then that comes back to the question about the halving and all the other factors, global macro.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so that's the ETF, the ETF that wasn't a couple of days ago, but it is, as we say, kind of an interesting look at what will happen in the kind of immediate aftermath of those ETFs actually being approved. But as we say, we've got to keep our feet on the ground a little bit when it comes to that. Okay, so moving on then, what were we going to talk about next? Should we touch on this business of Reddit moons?
Yeah, I mean, it's now they've just discontinuing it, right? Like, dumped on their rug pulled their the community.
Yeah,
I saw a tweet like, well, it was like, both Reddit and Twitter X, you know, showing how they can kind of screw the community because this. Well, I mean, it depends what you view around this $1 thing that Twitter is now potentially going to charge, but. Yeah, in the case of Reddit moons have crashed like 90%, right?
Yeah. So this is, I mean, I'm sure you guys have probably been following this story a bit, but Reddit has basically announced that it won't be continuing with this community points beta scheme that it was doing. That was kind of the big demand driver for Reddit moons. Obviously, people who were spending a lot of time on Reddit were able to earn those moons. And as a result of that demand driver being literally pulled away overnight, that's obviously crashed the price of moons. And as you can imagine, there are some pretty irate token holders out there.
Imagine if you'd been farming Reddit moons for doing months on those posts, and then you realize, you know.
It's so that was, and I get it's obviously everything that's going on with Twitter as well. There's so much talk of kind of Web3 integration with Twitter, isn't there? And you know, payments coming on the platform. Is there going to be a native crypto of Twitter, or X as we have to call it? And I guess this kind of shows that we're still probably quite a long way away from that.
Yeah, I think scalability is a major concern for most Web3 social media apps, right? Like, you know, I think it's if it can't scale, especially with the size, then you're not going to get the amount. The usability is going to be impacted, right? So you know, that's the main narrative. It's and
scalability. You know, that was the reason why Reddit. That was the reason kind of Reddit gave, wasn't there? They didn't see a way to kind of scale the project. So that's Reddit moons. That's not so good.
Put on a layer 2.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, there was talk of them going with Arbitrum Nova, wasn't there? And then I think they turned that down for some reason.
Yeah,
very strange. Okay, now there's another thing that's been getting people a bit worked up in crypto over the last few days, and this is Uniswap.
Yeah.
So Uniswap is now going to be charging a 0.15% fee on some, not all, swaps on the platform.
Well, no, isn't it all the ones going through the front end? Or is it only some pairs?
I think it's only some pairs.
Yeah.
So you know, a few are unaffected, but obviously this hasn't gone down too well. With the community.
I can imagine if you're a Uniswap user, it's like, you know, why you guys, that it can be viewed as a money grab. I mean, if you want to look at it on one side of the argument, one side of the coin, but on the other, you know, I suppose that, you know, they got to pay bills and whatnot. You know, it's a bear market. You know, I think the narrative is, okay, well, why do they have a token, right? What's the point? How does this benefit uni holders, right? You guys are just taking this 1.15% fee. You're not doing anything for the uni holders and the uni community. And that is a fair point, but I think that they're in a bit of a tricky situation because when it comes to the uni token, it was released back in 2020 as an airdrop. Also, some was given to early investors. But if they try and create a system, so there's the question around the security, right? Like, you know, if the more value they add and like rewards they give to uni holders, the more it can be viewed in the eyes of the SEC as some sort of a stock in a company of some sort. So it looks more and more like a security. So they're in a bit of a tricky a rock and a hard. They're in rock and a hard place, so they need to try and find ways in which to pay the bills. I assume, and they charge them this fee. It's worth noting, of course, that it's just the front end, right? The website. Obviously, the code itself is fully open source, so you can utilize an open source version of the front end, or you can go and if you can code smart contracts yourself, you can do the swaps there. Or so there was a cheeky tweet by 1inch. You know.
Oh yeah.
I'll leave you guys to find it.
Yeah.
You know, so there's other DEXs out there. So yeah, I guess it's this situation of, you know, yeah, they and like people say, well, you know, it doesn't cost that much to just maintain it. But the question is not just maintenance; it's also potentially, if like they said, like Hayden Adams said, it's about R&D, like research, right?
Yeah.
So R&D is expensive. I don't know how big their dev team is, you know, so.
Yeah, you can sort of see reasons for and reasons against. I just want to share my screen with the viewers and point out that you know, Uniswap already, this is crypto fees. Uniswap is already kind of a fee generating machine in terms of crypto protocols. You know, second only behind Ethereum. So I mean, I do remember sort of thinking, well, you know, they're generating more fees than almost anyone. So is it necessary to do this? But you know, perhaps
how much of the question is how much of that is through the people transacting through the front end? Because remember, other protocols utilize the Uniswap, you know, open source code itself, right?
Yep.
On the back end. So then it could just be that. And also, I saw another tweet. It was basically like in the first hour or so of the release of this, Uniswap made like on the front end, you know, swaps themselves. They made like $2,000, but the market cap of Uni tanked for like 20 million.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you know, in the long, obviously they're looking at the longer term. I mean, would you still use Uniswap, or would you feel too aggrieved of the 0.15%? I don't know. I mean, if there's a perfect substitute out there.
Yeah. And I mean, look, you know, there are other options.
If you're doing big swaps, right? And you know, 0.15, it may seem like small, but you know, I mean, if you're doing big swaps and stuff, and if it's literally the other option is just to head over another DEX, use some sort of a front end solution.
Yeah, crypto users are pretty good with voting with their feet, I think, when it comes to that. So
remember the back in the day with Uniswap and SushiSwap.
Oh yeah,
with the whole vampire mining thing, right? Where basically Uniswap had nearly all its liquidity vampire mined by like everyone was trying to get onto SushiSwap. So. But that was in the you know, heavy days of yield farming. So whether that we'll see that now, I don't know. But yeah, they can vote with their feet. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So and let's move on then. So I've spotted. I was looking through crypto news earlier today, and I spotted perhaps one of the biggest bear market indicators I've yet seen. So this has been reported in Spain. A parasite called crypto has been detected in Spain and is making people very, very unwell. It's actually called cryptosporidiosis, and this is a parasite. I shouldn't laugh. This sounds horrible. This is a parasite, a sort of waterborne parasite that's been causing, among other things, diarrhea, vomiting, dehydration, stomach cramps, fever, and weight loss.
But that's just normal crypto trading symptoms. I mean, that's what I feel on a daily basis.
that's what you get if you're in crypto. Yeah. I did read this. Let me just share my screen with you guys so as you can see the article. This was on Protos, however you pronounce it. But yeah, I saw that headline: Irish tourists warned of crypto parasite spreading in Spain.
Jesus.
And I thought, what on earth is this? It turned out to be,
I mean,
an actual parasite.
Imagine the news headlines you see, and you're scrolling through. Like on one hand, you got like Hamas financed, financed their war in Israel with crypto, and then on the other hand, Irish tourists warned of crypto parasites. You're literally like, I'm not going to touch this thing. It's like,
yeah. Anyone for the casual observer, crypto must look terrible right now. Anyhow, yes, as if crypto didn't have enough bad press. So that's the cryptosporidiosis parasite. If you're traveling to Spain, be careful. Don't drink untreated water, etc. You you might catch crypto.
Yeah.
Speaking of crypto parasites that can ruin your, oh, by the way, apparently symptoms last for 1 to 2 weeks with this stuff. So it's, it's pretty serious. That's a long time. Anyhow, speaking of,
well, at least it's shorter than the bear market. The bear market's
bear markets can last indefinitely. Okay, crypto parasites that can ruin your holiday. Speaking of which, the SBF trial is still ongoing. Let's talk about this, because that's been
crazy.
That's been the big news in crypto, and it was one of these things, wasn't it? It all started a bit slowly, and what was it? The 3rd of October was the start date, and then of course they had a couple of days where they were just sort of farting around trying to choose a jury, and then it kind of really got going. But Caroline Ellison was testifying last week, wasn't she? And hers was the big testimony.
Hers was the big testimony, yeah. And it seems like, so before it was Gary Wang, obviously. He got more on the technical side of exactly of what was going on the FTX. And then she came on, and obviously she was the star witness. Everyone positioned her as the star witness. And, what was going on there, and what she disclosed in terms of like the everything from bribing Chinese officials to trying to get Thai prostitutes to go and bribe Chinese officials to the intricacies of the relationship. And I mean, it was just crazy, man. It's like a soap opera. Basically her testimony was very strong, and it was compelling apparently from most of the post analysis. And it seems also as if SBF's lawyers bombed trying to discredit her in any way. And they've actually been bombing for the past 2 weeks trying to discredit the witnesses, the star witnesses. Well, short of not necessarily the most recent, which is Nishad Singh. Apparently they managed to land 1 or 2 blows in the past day or two. But he also had a really compelling testimony. Was it on Monday as well, when he detailed in vivid details about how he felt just prior to this, and when he found out about the massive poll and all this kind of stuff, and how billions was used to pay for Tom Brady and all of that from customer funds, which is kind of like what we already knew. So, but yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, so far, it looks as if it's not looking good for Sam.
It is not. It is not. I think this was the big takeout from Caroline's testimony, wasn't it? Because it was like this, she's obviously the prosecution's star witness. And if the defense were able to discredit her, which, as you say, they kind of tried to do, but didn't really succeed.
Yeah.
And she was obviously kind of closer to SBF than anyone else. So this defense that he's mounting, which, I mean, I guess always seemed a little bit shaky. The fact that he was badly advised by his lawyers and didn't really know what was going on. I mean, Caroline, just her, seems to have really blown that out of the water. Like it seems to be, I think SBF's defense are going to have a very difficult time coming back from that. And
she got receipts, they've got all the signal messages. And I think that, I mean, to be honest, I don't know how his lawyers must have had a tough time. They've got a tough case for themselves. Yeah. I mean, and in his case as well, it's like, what would you have done? I mean, if everyone else has turned on you, and if you're going to go and kill, he apparently didn't get an opportunity for plea deal because they had him. They knew he was, they knew they could nail him. If you go, what's the point of giving a plea deal to him? Who's more senior? I mean, there was a lot of rumors. Oh, okay, Sam can go and take down other big players in the ecosystem, all these nefarious people. But at the end of the day, he didn't have anything, and they didn't offer him a plea deal apparently. So they knew they could take him down with what they had. The prosecution thought, and that's finding a tough time for him. And it's not helped the fact that he's now in prison, in jail because of his own doing. The defense has not been able to. And they're in a tricky position because what are they going to do, right? So apparently, from what I'm hearing, reading, it's the Hail Mary pass will be what most white-collar criminals want to avoid, which is testifying on the stand. So Sam will have to testify. He'll want to testify because that's basically your Hail Mary pass. Yeah. When they go with the defense case. So.
Well, I mean, if he performs as he did, you remember the Deal Book Summit and all these kind of interviews that he did, on his
Good Morning America, the Good Morning America. That was.
So, I mean, he's sort of already kind of testified.
But he has got a trump card. He has got a trump card though.
So what's this?
This is the Adderall defense.
Oh yes, the Adderall
defense. Yes. So basically, he's saying that he cannot defend himself because his defense is saying he cannot defend himself because he's too distracted and can't concentrate. So he needs a regular dose of 20 milligrams or something of Adderall. And if he isn't given that, they'll have to delay the case. So you can imagine how annoyed the judge must be to hear that. Already judges don't like it when, they waste the jurors' time, right?
Yeah.
And the judge has it telegraphed numerous times to the defense, you're wasting time with your question and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, that Adderall defense, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think you can go and use the case, I'm given the chance to defend my life away from prison but I'm rather going to choose to not do it because I don't have my Addy.
Yeah. It doesn't, it certainly doesn't seem to stack up. But I suppose, like we discussed before the case started, I guess the only thing kind of counting in his favor is that they have to convince all the jurors beyond a reasonable doubt.
That's it.
So if they're able to sow even like a marginal seed of doubt, then perhaps he might get off on a couple of the charges. And this, because I mean,
if just one juror, basically, if just one juror is uncertain about beyond a reasonable doubt, if they can't be convinced beyond a reasonable doubt, then it's a hung jury.
Yeah.
And the case now, I mean, what the lawyers are trying to do is trying to like sow potentially not doubt like what he did was not necessarily criminal to the extent that it was just negligence, and that maybe everything he was doing was within the realms of due diligence when it came to stealing money from FTX customer funds to invest in. There is some good news on FTX side, I suppose, if you want to hear it. I mean, in terms of that Anthropic investment they made that he YOLO'd into, basically it seems to be paying off big time.
Right.
And the FTX, the debtors could potentially get 90%. They're looking towards December timeline to disperse some of the funds to creditors, subject to those below $250,000 claims. There's some T's and C's attached to that. I need to double check that, but yeah, it seems like the claims are trading at between 50 to 60 cents on the dollar now. So
could SBF have inadvertently made it all back on one trade? We'll see. But I don't think that's going to matter either way. But so I guess maybe with this reasonable doubt thing, there's a chance that he might manage to wriggle out of a couple of the charges and maybe only spend half his life in jail or something. But I guess if he's convicted on all of them, that's when we're looking at serious.
And that's only these, because remember, there was other charges that they could still charge him on after this, and this was the stuff subsequent to being to the arrest in Bahamas, right? And so this was stuff like that came afterwards, right? It was Chinese bribing Chinese officials, and then the campaign finance stuff.
Yeah. This is only, of course, his first trial. He's got more trials after this. So who would want to be Sam Bankman-Fried? Okay, so a couple of other things that we'll talk about before we wrap up for today. One of the things I saw, we've been talking about this, we've been flagging this up in the weekly news a few times recently. This is obviously the selling of ETH by big players in the Ethereum ecosystem. The Ethereum Foundation has been sending a lot of ETH to exchanges, as have various Ethereum co-founders and people at the top of the organization. And of course, the big name amongst all that is none other than Vitalik. Now, he has been detected as sending a lot of ETH to exchanges recently. A lot of people are speculating that he's selling for whatever reason. However, Vitalik has actually come out and kind of refuted this, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he said he's donating it to. Is this refuting to the extent that it's going to be for charity, or? Yeah.
So he's saying that basically he's been sending any crypto that he's been sending to exchanges has basically been charity donations, non-profit donations, or he said he's also sent some to other projects. So maybe those are.
That's what the IRS. Or he told the IRS.
Or maybe those are in. Maybe those other projects are investments or what have you. But basically, he claims that he hasn't sold any ETH for personal gain since 2018, which I guess, in context of the IRS.
Nothing in 2021, nothing, no profits taken. Die hard hodler. you know.
I don't think anyone would have blamed Vitalik for taking profits when ETH was around 4K.
Yeah, no, but I mean, to be honest, I mean, he wouldn't seem like the kind of guy who trying to make a quick buck on it.
No.
Like, I mean, he's a different kind of individual. He's just more interested in, obviously, on the dev side. And yeah, I mean, and he did also that big donation of SHIB, so he's got to do that stuff, you know.
Yeah, I think we can believe him on this one. I don't imagine that he is doing anything other than what he claims. But I thought that was quite an interesting story. You know, poor Vitalik. Everyone I do feel kind of sorry for him in a way, in that, you know, everyone can see his wallet. So every time he moves some ETH, it's like, well, that's not financial privacy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yes, so this is Vitalik claiming that he's not selling his ETH. He's merely giving it away, or, you know, what have you. And I think, you know, the fact that some of it that's sent to exchanges is being sold, that's obviously the charities or non-profits or whoever it is donating to. He's saying that they're the ones doing the selling. So I thought that was good to know. You know, Vitalik isn't bailing out on ETH just yet. So one last story I think we can talk about as well is this idea. Now, this was prompted by a story in Crypto Slate, which was reporting on Ripple advertising for a new job opening. So this has led to speculation that Ripple could be planning to go public. Now, this is something they've talked about before, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So there's been speculation that they've talked about it. It's not just speculation. So Brad Goldenhouse talked about it. And, you know, at shareholder communication, senior manager, that kind of role, obviously you would assume that this would be a person who would be communicating to a large group of shareholders, not just Ripple's current shareholders. So, you know, that would be interesting. And given that they had ambitions for it, it's potentially likely, you know. I mean, the question then comes to, you know, obviously the XRP community is you know, rejoiced by this, but I guess, you know, what should this really impact on the price of ETH? I mean, not ETH, XRP. Obviously short term potentially, but if Ripple becomes a public company, what does that mean? Well, it means that they'll potentially raise some capital. You know, more capital means they could potentially, if the SEC wants to come back and repeal the cases or whatnot, and they could continue fighting on the crypto cause. They've been doing pretty well so far.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ripple would use the XRP ledger, and if Ripple, the company, is increasingly, you know, working with a number of different business, you know, companies and collaborations and integrations, more XRP demand. You know, so potentially it's not like it's going to be bad for XRP. It'll be good, but I don't know if it's directly linked. It's like, okay, now Ripple as a company is a publicly traded company and it's got more access to capital. Does that necessarily translate? And I don't think that the one thing that Ripple won't want to do is create any sort of perception that XRP is in any way analogous to shares in Ripple, because that's the one thing that potentially could get them into trouble. What got them into trouble initially, right?
Yeah.
So they'll try and avoid any sort of an association with XRP being linked to the price or the performance of Ripple as a company. But, you know, ancillary second order effects of adoption of Ripple or not adoption of the XRP ledger, potentially beneficial, obviously beneficial to XRP as a currency.
Could it be also that if Ripple does go public, obviously that would mean, you know, raising a lot of funds. Would that maybe stop them selling XRP on the open market?
That's also a good point. That's a good point as well.
Basically, how they've been funding themselves for you know, pretty much since they were created. So that could be good for the price of XRP as well. But look, folks, I mean, you know, we've seen what bear market conditions are like at the moment, and it's interesting to look at XRP's chart, isn't it? That pump back, you know, and it did kind of peter out.
Yeah, and we've got a history with XRP, right? Like, you know, I mean, people think of us as like XRP haters, you know. I guess that's because one of the first videos we did, you know, was one of the first videos we did on XRP was kind of very clickbait, you know, like, you know, XRP is not going to make you rich. And to be fair, that, you know, it was back in the day, and it was a bit of a clickbait headline, and it could have triggered a lot of people, and it actually was one of the most disliked videos we've ever put out. And it was the one that actually people reported it, and YouTube took it down for like a few minutes because of mass reporting. But I mean, I think that XRP is, you know, I originally bought some XRP back in 2017, and I made like 20x on it into late December 2017 in the first bull market when it got to $3. So, you know, but then I sold it and everything. And since then, obviously, I think XRP's performance recently with regards to the win by Ripple in the SEC case, and Ripple as a company standing up for the crypto community. So we can't hate on them. You know, I think that, and you know, as a company, there's been many other cryptocurrencies that have come and gone, and that people have had high hopes about. But the XRP army is, you know,
they've stayed strong. And let's face it, you know, XRP has stuck around. You know, other crypto, as you say, other cryptos, especially from that era, slip further and further down the charts, but XRP remains. So who knows? And funnily enough, we have done a more recent video on XRP. So this is a good point to let you guys know about this. This is something that we've been working on sort of for the past few months, a bit in the background. We launched it quite recently. Some of you may have heard of it. It is called Coin Bureau Club. So this is a new platform that we've built ourselves. Now, lots of you are always asking, can we review this particular altcoin or that particular altcoin? Now, altcoin reviews are a bit of a tricky one for us to do because it's very difficult for us to cover, especially microcaps or, you know, even small to medium caps that can, it's just not easy for us to do with our sort of subscriber reach, our subscriber base. And especially if we cover a small cap or something like that, we can be accused of you know, moving the markets and stuff. So, and also, like, there's not always the demand from, you know, the wider community to see those videos. However, there is a group of people who do love watching our altcoin reviews. So this is where we're putting them on Coin Bureau Club. You also get so we've done video, and that was our first one, XRP. Which
it's quite a long one as well. It was a lot of work went into that one.
Yeah. That was a really fascinating one to do. So we kind of really dig into the history of Ripple and XRP, and I tell you, it is fascinating. So we will leave, I think there should be a link in the description for Coin Bureau Club, or you can go to our deals page and it's at the top there. It's basically our new sort of altcoin hub.
Yeah, exactly. Our altcoin hub, and there's also a research feed which has got you know, insights directly from the research team, like where we're trying to give a little something juicy to the subscribers. We've got a lot of other stuff in the pipeline coming soon that you guys will enjoy. It's still a bit like of a raw product. That's why it's only open right now. We only mentioned it in a few places because we're testing it out, and while we obviously want to gather feedback. And we've got so far pretty good feedback, you know. And I think that the main product we're trying to offer there is like our reviews that we used to do, that we did in the previous bull market, that people came to associate the Coin Bureau with, which is these crypto native, hard, deep dive altcoin reviews, and not necessarily just the large caps, you know, also like the small alt caps. And we've done ones that are under 50 million now in terms of market cap, right? And
well, the latest one that we're just working on is sub 1 million market cap. There's a micro cap in the extreme.
And the cool thing is these guys who vote in there, right, like, because they're the newest to subscribe, they have an outsized impact in deciding what kind of videos we review, right, and coins review. And the polls, like, you know, so exactly. So now they get an opportunity to see their favorite coin reviewed, and full in-depth altcoin review that we used to do on the main channel just here. Obviously, it's important to say that this is not going to impact on anything that usually goes out on the main channel. We're still going to be doing everything we do there. This is just additional value for those who want to support the channel in a different way and get additional insights. And, you know, if you join in now, you obviously get there's a lot more coming. So you know that there's a lot more features and functionality that we want to provide as much value as possible to our early supporters.
Absolutely. So that's Coin Bureau Club, our new subscription service and altcoin hub. But as Nick says, it will be normal service, of course, continuing here on Coin Bureau Clips, and also, of course, on our main channel as well. But this is another project that we've been working away on for some time now, and just a different way, of people being able to access our content and, as Nick said, support us. So if you are interested, do please check it out. Like I say, link in the description. And I hope you guys like it. And we are going to be adding a lot more features and functionality in the coming weeks. So do keep an eye out. We are so a few people. Who's the other guy? Yeah. So anyone who's just joined us, you've timed it well, because we're about to wrap it up. But this is Nick, Coin Bureau's CEO and co-founder, along with myself. Nick, sort of runs kind of operations and stuff here, and has been obviously with the Coin Bureau since day zero.
Day zero, the Genesis block.
Yeah. Someone asking if you're Julian Assange's son.
Oh, no. What, well, the hair color? What?
I think so. Reverend Flashback. If you can explain that question, Reverend Flashback. Someone was asked. Oh yes. Can you tell us, how do you pronounce this? Brian Sibanda. Greetings
from Camille Drift, West Pretoria. There we go.
There you go.
Brian Sibanda. Yeah. Sweet.
Awesome.
Got a lot of Sappers in the corner.
Excellent. Always good to see South Africans in the comments, and with one of their countrymen on screen today. That is about it for today, folks. We've managed to cover quite a lot today. There's actually quite a lot happening in crypto at the moment.
There's a lot of stuff happening, and I think that this news is the positive news around the ETF is like to see it was a test case. It was a dry run. Next time we'll make it happen.
We'll get there in the end. We've got lots of other videos coming up here on Coin Bureau Clips, and also on Coin Bureau's main channel very, very soon. The next thing in the pipeline is tomorrow here on Clips, NFA Live. I will be hosting the great Rob Wolf from Digital Asset News and the great Ben Cowan from Into the Cryptoverse. It's been a couple of weeks since we last did NFA. Obviously, I was away in Amsterdam last week. So I'll be catching up with Ben and Rob. We've got a few interesting things that we're going to talk about. Obviously, Bitcoin dominance, because that's Ben's favorite topic, but still very relevant today. And we've got plenty of other videos coming up on the main channel.
One in just under an hour. You guys, if you're interested in hearing about the insider trading scandal out there on Congress, and the Stock Act. That's coming out in just less than an hour on the main channel. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
There you go. Reverend Flashback just clarifies he looks similar. I mean, before they locked his father in for years. Okay. Arham Ansari, when will be next time? So yes, tomorrow on Clips, next live stream, next NFA Live with Rob and Ben. And then Jessica and I will be back next week here on Clips at the same time. But I think you guys have enjoyed having Nick on today. It's been great to have Nick with us today. So
it's good to get behind the camera sometimes. Just interact with the fans.
Absolutely. So I'm sure Nick will be back by popular demand very soon. Perhaps if we can get all three of us on camera, you, me, and Jessica can do it.
That would be fun as well.
In future weeks. And we do have some other Coin Bureau team members stopping by HQ in the not too distant future. So we might be able to persuade some of them to come on and say hello as well. Nick, do you have any? Do you have any good biltong recipes?
Nah, bro, my Brian skills. Long time since.
I tell you, South Africa has given the world many fine things, but biltong is the finest.
That is 100%. Well, boerewors and a braai, bro. Have you tried that?
No, I only understood half of that.
You got to visit the South African shop in Dubai. I need to take you there.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. All right, everyone. That's about it for this week. Thank you so much for joining. We'll be back again soon. And stay crypto in the meantime and behave yourselves.
Cheers, guys.
See you soon. Okay. And we are